Ladies and gentlemen, a shocking and significant development has just unfolded, one that calls for our immediate attention. The United States, a country often seen as a beacon of democracy and freedom, has now been added to the Civic US Monitor Watchlist. This is a global index, tracking civil liberties and freedoms, and the US finds itself alongside countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, Italy, Pakistan, and Serbia. The reason? A rapid decline in civic freedoms. The Trump administration's approach to governance, marked by restrictive executive orders, institutional cutbacks, and intimidation tactics, has raised serious concerns. Organizations like Civic US, along with Amnesty International and other advocacy groups, have condemned actions that they argue are undermining democracy and silencing dissent. The administration's decisions, such as slashing foreign aid contracts by over 90%, and dismantling diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, have been cited as key indicators of this decline. Furthermore, the crackdown on protests, particularly those advocating for Palestinian rights, has raised red flags internationally. Students and activists have faced aggressive policing while demonstrating against U.S. military aid to Israel. Civic US notes that these government actions are creating an environment where democratic dissent is stifled, an alarming trend for a country that champions free speech. The U.S. has now been classified as narrowed on the Civic US scale, which means that while free expression is still largely permitted, there are significant government efforts to suppress it. This classification isn't new. The U.S. faced similar scrutiny under both the Biden and Trump administrations. But the latest shift toward more restrictive policies suggests a dangerous trajectory. Concerns extend beyond public demonstrations. Media freedom is also under threat. The Federal Communications Commission has launched investigations into NPR and PBS, accusing them of violating federal laws, while the Trump administration has taken unprecedented steps to control media access to press briefings. Even major media owners, like Jeff Bezos, have been influencing editorial directions in ways that raise ethical concerns about press independence. Adding fuel to the fire, the Associated Press has even taken legal action against the White House after being barred from briefings. Their refusal to refer to the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America, as mandated by a controversial executive order, led to their exclusion, an alarming precedent for media integrity and journalistic freedom. Civic US warns that these developments signal an erosion of democratic norms, with restrictive policies mirroring tactics used by authoritarian regimes. The organization urges the U.S. government to respect both constitutional and international human rights standards. The broader implications of these actions are deeply concerning. Historically, the U.S. has positioned itself as a global leader in promoting democracy and human rights. But if its own institutions are under threat, what message does that send to the world? This shift could embolden authoritarian governments worldwide, weaken global efforts to uphold civil liberties, and threaten the very foundations of democratic governance. So the big question remains: where does this leave the American people? Will there be pushback against these alarming trends? Will the government take steps to restore and protect the freedoms that define the nation? One thing is certain: this is a moment that demands our vigilance, our voice, and our commitment to the principles of democracy.